What's going on, everyone? The Lakers offseason has officially began, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I made a video earlier diving into how I trust that the Los Angeles Lakers will make the right calls, they will make the right decisions, that they have a lot of questions that are kind of like up for debate and a lot of different directions in which the Lakers could go. But there are some things, and there is a bit of a timeline that we can kind of foresee and break down. That's kind of what I want to go over in this video to kind of give people an understanding of what to expect and kind of when to expect it. Now, obviously, things could come out of left field at any point, at any time. For the most part, it's going to go pretty straightforward. They're going to obviously re-sign Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. That is one of the few no-brainers. That is one of the few things that is all about guaranteed to happen unless some crazy thing happens, right? Like where you could trade these two guys and go get like Joel Embiid or something, right? In that case, the Lakers probably do something like that. But that's not going to happen. So it's safe to say Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura will be re-signed. Now, here's the thing. The Lakers may wait to re-sign them to kind of see what develops, what's out there, what kind of moves can they make. Do they want to be an above the cap team? Do they want to be an under cap team because of their cap holds, right? Especially Austin Reeves. He doesn't have that big of one. So it gives them a little flexibility, but you should expect them to re-sign these two guys. Now, there is other questions beyond these two. Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba, what do they do? Do they end up looking to release them, or do they go and use them as trade chips? I don't think the Lakers are going to just let them go. Now, there are reports that say, like, hey, the Lakers probably will, if not one of them at least. I don't fully buy that. I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not like far-fetched to think that, but it kind of doesn't make sense because you can't replace them value-wise, right? Like, those are two players that still have value, right? I'm not even talking about from a player perspective. I'm talking about solely just as trade chips. You have teams that have players that they may want to move off of salary, or they may be willing to give you a guy that you might not have been able to get otherwise, especially with the new CBA. The new CBA is going to cause a lot of teams to trade guys that you never thought that they were going to trade, or get rid of guys or release guys that you never thought they were going to release because they have no choice now, right? So you may see teams start offering up guys that are on some pretty heavy contracts that they wanted to keep, but they just can't because now they have no flexibility, or they'll lose flexibility. So the Lakers, I expect to kind of do the due diligence there, but nothing major is going to happen very likely until after the draft. Now, the Lakers can't really, so they have the 17th pick this year, they have the 47th pick this year, and they very likely could draft those two spots and keep those players and use them to develop and grow. I do expect the Lakers to look to move those two guys. They have the 2029 draft pick, and they could trade this pick, but they'd have to pick for another team. So don't expect any trades or any moves to happen until the draft. And the draft is June 22nd, I believe. But in that same breath, there are things that very well could develop on draft day because you have a lot of like deadlines for players. For example, Chris Paul, right? There's a lot of talk about Chris Paul potentially being bought out, and if he gets or waived, and if that ends up happening, then that could be a signing for the Lakers. If that ends up happening, well, then the Lakers might say, well, we're going to get Chris Paul, so maybe we should look to move D'Angelo Russell, right? Like if Chris Paul says like, hey, I'm getting waived and I'm coming to you, the Lakers probably aren't saying no to Chris Paul, especially if you can get him on like a vet minimum or a taxpayer mid-level or something. That could change everything for the Lakers. That could cause the Lakers to go, you know what? Get Chris Paul. Okay, let's look to move D'Angelo Russell. Let's push our chips to the table and go all in. Because we're going to have Chris Paul, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That's good enough with Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Max Christie, to where we could take all the other guys with the 17th pick, 2029 pick, maybe look to go make a draft day deal or shortly after. And the reason I bring up Chris Paul in that timeline is because his contract becomes fully guaranteed on the 28th of June. So whatever's going to happen with him is going to have to happen before that date. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to happen on draft day or on the day. It could happen all the way up to that day, or the day before. But keep an eye out for the Lakers, and especially as we get closer to the draft day, which is, at the time of this video, a week away, or 8 days away, that this very likely could start ramping up trade speculations and rumors, especially of guys like, DeMar DeRozan or Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard or all these big names that you hear that the Lakers are potentially tied to for potential trades. All those guys are very likely going to get moved around the trade deadline or shortly after. So the Lakers could end up drafting somebody for another team, and they already have a deal sort of already on the table, right? Because the Lakers aren't going to draft, like, if the Lakers draft somebody that they like, that doesn't necessarily mean that another team will like that. So, like, let's say DeMar DeRozan wants to go to the Lakers, Chicago's willing to trade him to Lakers, they want the 17th pick. Would they rather trust that you're drafting a guy that they're going to like, or would they rather just go, hey, we're going to trade you DeMar DeRozan, draft this guy, and then we'll make that deal, and all is said and done? That's a real possibility. D'Angelo Russell, the Lakers, we keep hearing reports that they want to make some type of sign and trade. He's probably, if that does happen, it's probably coming in the next week or two. The Lakers are probably going to start beginning their moves in the next about week or two. And that's when you'll start really seeing the Lakers make some. Now, they could end up making something later on, or, the free agency signings and stuff will be interesting to see as well. But you're not going to really see those until probably next month, where as we get in the next week or so towards the end of this month, that's when you're going to see the outcome and result for D'Angelo Russell, very likely. A lot of contracts and guarantees and all kinds of, extensions and all of those things, a lot of those end in July, right? So the deadline for a lot of those things are July, early July. And that's when things really start ramping up. So you very likely will see the Lakers make some type of trade or moves. If they're going to, it's probably happening before July. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't do stuff after. It just means that any significant trade very likely happens by that time. So whether that's, for, let's say, a Buddy Hield to Miles Turner or a, DeMar DeRozan or something like that. If any of those trades happen, they're probably happening by the end of this month, would be a quality guess, right? Now, the Lakers very likely could just bring everybody back, right? Because there is an argument for that. Hey, look, let's bring everybody back. Maybe can you sign a Brook Lopez and, maybe bring in a Chris Paul? Cool, right? And just run it back and see what's available at the trade deadline. That could be a real possibility. But if that's the case, then D'Angelo Russell, he probably gets a new contract ASAP. He probably gets a new contract in the next week or so. So that way he is trade eligible by the trade deadline. All of these things play a factor. All of these little, nuances that, people don't really notice or pay attention to are all very important and can be the difference between you getting something of substance and something of not. Something major happening or something not. Because, again, a lot of these things, Chris Paul, he has a deadline. They don't do what they're going to do with him by that deadline. That changes everything, because now he's not partially guaranteed. Now he's fully guaranteed. So those are big changes. Those are big adjustments, right? Chris Paul, he very likely, if he's coming to the Lakers, is going to be a Laker in the next week. Literally, he's probably going to be a Laker in the next week or 10 days. If it's going to happen. But if that happens, then that could change everything for the Lakers. That can completely change course. And that could completely make the Lakers go, okay, well, now we definitely don't need a Kyrie Irving because we already got Chris Paul. Okay, well, now we definitely don't need this. Okay, now, D'Angelo Russell just became more expendable. let's go look to maybe trade D'Angelo Russell. Maybe we go get some. Do we go, Bradley? Oh, Bradley Beal's available. Should we go and make a push for Bradley Beal now? Have Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like, okay, all of these things, like, those are all things that start happening, that start clicking, that start coming together, that start making sense. So things are really going to start ramping up for the Lakers here in the next 2 weeks. So strap in, buckle up, and get ready because it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun offseason, and we'll dive into all the stuff, and we'll talk about all the rumors and all the news and everything that comes out because it's fun. Again, it's just, I'm a fan just like you are. It's fun to go down these rabbit holes. It's fun to have these conversations. Well, what about this guy? What about that guy? Is this feasible? Is this not? News comes out and I give my, hey, this isn't going to happen. Don't, like the Fred VanVleet thing. I made a video yesterday and was like, hey, Fred VanVleet isn't coming to Lakers. If he was coming to Lakers, it would have been before. If he opted into his contract, he opted out of his contract. Lakers aren't going to have the money to sign him. Unless he's taken, $6 million a year, he's not coming to Lakers, stuff like that. So I'll always give my opinions, and as always, I pass a question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. What do you think? When do you think that first domino falls? I think the first domino falls, personally. I think it happens within the next week. Whether it's Chris Paul or some little minor trade, or a guy that the Lakers just pick up. I really do. I think in the next week to 10 days, right? I think we start seeing the first dominoes to fall, and the Lakers offseason really beginning. But anyway, again, love your thoughts, opinions. Let me know down.